Welcome to the Saturday Slam and Jam here on the Athletic NBA Daily. On today's show, we're talking to Sam Vecenie about the NBA draft, and then we will do some NBA draft trivia. With me, as always, is my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Al. We're
Things are going great here, guys.
So good. So good. We got Sam Vecenie here to talk about the NBA draft. Your draft guide dropped this week.
So early, Sam.
Beautiful.
Record time.
Yeah. I wanted to get it out earlier this year. That was the goal. I'm really excited to have, I finished it in the month of May for the first time, like all of the writing for the first time in history. And then, everyone did a great job on the back end at the Athletic. So I'm eternally grateful to all of the teammates that we get to work with here.
It's awesome. If you haven't read it or started to read it, you should go do that today. It's very good. You mentioned in your introduction that beyond Flagg and Harper, you're a bit lower on this class of prospects compared to consensus. As a point of comparison, last year was widely considered one of the weaker draft classes. Where would some of your top prospects from last year's class rank in this current draft?
Yeah, people have asked me that a decent amount. I've thought a lot about it. I think that, so I had Sarr, Reed, and Castle like somewhere in the top. Like I had them as tier 3 guys. For that group this year, that's like my 3 through 6 guys. Where would I have them in that group? I think probably near the bottom, if I'm being honest. Like, it's hard because like I've kind of adjusted, like the Reed thing, like I've kind of adjusted, right? Like I really like Reed. I still think Reed's going to be like a really effective NBA player, but I probably just wouldn't take a guy who's like 6'1" and that small again in the top 2. Right. Like that's just kind of the reality of where I am on this stuff. I really like Castle. I was very high on him throughout the process last year. I still think Sarr is going to be super interesting, but like I've kind of adjusted some things, not even based on Sarr, but just like based on what I care about in terms of basketball at this point. I think that probably near the bottom. I think they'd be like 7. Maybe, yeah, probably 7, something like that.
So also in the introduction, you mentioned the effect of NIL having the effect it's having on the second round. Why
Speaking of being able to finish the draft guide early, by the way, that helped.
Yeah. So many guys backed out. Why have the effects of NIL hit this specific draft so hard?
It's just the first year, and it's the first year where the intersection of the portal and team and like donors, frankly, being willing to pay just exorbitant amounts of money to keep college basketball rosters together. Like the number of players making over $2 million in college basketball next year is going to be like pretty comical. And that's a number 30 overall pick. Right, is right around $2 million in terms of the rookie scale. So you look across the landscape, guys like Tahad Pettiford, guys like, Alex Condon, guys like even some of the internationals as well. The international class is really what got beaten down by this, in my opinion. There's a number of international players that are choosing to go the collegiate route, much like Kasparas Yakashonis, Yegor Demin, guys like that. Because the international marketplace for young players, even at the highest levels, like unless you're Luka, like you're just not making that kind of money. Like you're nowhere near that level, honestly. Like you're lucky if you're making $100,000 over in Europe at this point. And like that's like not a common occurrence for a lot of these young guys. So given that, and given the explosion of money in college basketball, we'll see how the House settlement adjusts this. I think that in many ways, it likely will adjust some things. We'll see where it settles. We'll see if, by the time this podcast goes out, if there hasn't been some sort of injunction or restraining order filed on that settlement, or whatever, legal proceedings will go. I guess you can't file an injunction on a settlement, but regardless, I think that there's just going to be a lot that changes in the coming years. But for this year, it was kind of the Wild West where, I mean, seriously, guys, like you guys not being engaged in the college space, like in that kind of way, you would laugh hysterically at some of the players that are getting paid $1 million next year in college basketball. Like some of this money is just genuinely like getting put on the Joker's like money pit and getting absolutely burned to a crisp with some of the guys getting $1 million next year.
Well, not necessarily like maybe like the craziest person getting $1 million. What's like the craziest example of this that you could give us?
Like, I think there are bench players in college basketball that will make $1 million next year.
Wow.
Like guys who will end up coming off the bench will make them. Like there are a few of them that I can think of. There's like, I'm definitely not saying the name, but like there's one player who's going to like an SEC school that I can think of where I'm just like, I don't know if that kid could play in the ACC. And the ACC was like a catastrophic league last year. And he's making $1 million to play in the SEC next year. And he just has no chance athletically, I don't think.
Wow. That is bizarre.
That's so wild to be one of these rich guys and you just like give millions of dollars to the NIL fund, but you have no idea how they're going to use it. Like if they're using it smart or not. Like, cause it sounds like at least in some cases, like the schools are just giving money to whoever. So is this something that should normalize like next year's class? Like, is this just kind of like a 1 year thing and then it will get back to normal?
Again, like the House settlement just happened. So like, we're all kind of waiting to see if that ends up being kind of a real thing that like, or like, you know, cause theoretically all colleges are supposed to be capped at, you know, paying $20 million for all sports, which like, I don't think there's a $20 million college basketball roster this season. Like that's aggressive. And I haven't heard anything like that number, but I've heard like 12 million for a roster. Like I've heard a little bit more than that even in a couple places. So like, you know, guys, I don't know if you know this, but football makes a considerable amount more money than college basketball. So like, you know, these programs in the SEC, right? Like, are they going to have to find creative ways to cheat basically in order to pay kids what they want in order to stay at the standard? Or like, is it just going to be like college basketball powerhouses? Like, you know, like Georgetown, for instance, like could theoretically be like really well positioned by this to put like all of its money toward men's college basketball and be able to like outbid everybody. All of this just remains to be seen. The thing that I would tell people though is like, if this financial paradigm continues where guys are getting $2 million, $3 million to go back to college, if that sticks, I think next year might be worse in the second round, to be honest with you, because there are still some like COVID year, fifth year players in this class that are in this draft, right? Like, you know, like Max Shulga is a fifth year guy, Sion James, Elijah Martin, Janai Broom, Bryce Williams, Chaz Lanier, like all these guys got extra fifth years to play college basketball. On top of the fact that there were like fourth year seniors, like, you know, I'm trying to think like Hunter Salas is like a fourth year senior who played all 4 years in college and thus didn't get his COVID year because he started in 2021-22. Like, what if it's just those guys left and we don't have the COVID guys on top of that? Like there's a chance that it gets worse. If the finances, like it gets worse in the second round if the finances aren't or are similar, I guess, to what they are this year.
So how do
you make it having it on a second day even more hilarious that you have like
Truly.
a whole like
Truly, but like, hey, like it might create like the settlement might create a circumstance where somebody like Tahad Pettiford feels like he's just going to go pro. Like there's a chance that it's better next year, depending on how the settlement like goes through and how this all looks. All of that remains to be seen. Like there's just so much up in the air right now in terms of what that looks like next year.
So do you anticipate seeing like more draft and stash picks or teams willing to sell their second rounders more than normal?
Okay, so I've got an even funnier scenario for you guys. So there are prospects this year going to college basketball who are theoretically auto eligible for this NBA draft. So like a couple names would be, so like Testa Ritter is a perfect name for this, right? Like, I don't know if he's committed to Virginia or if he's heavily rumored to go to Virginia. I can't remember off the top of my head. But he's automatically eligible. He's like an ACB level starter, like Spanish league starter, really good basketball player, auto eligible for the draft this year. If he gets eligible for college basketball, we'll see, right? He is theoretically going to, like, if he goes undrafted this year, he would be undrafted, would be going to college, and then could theoretically be like signed off of a collegiate roster in the middle of next season if like injuries happen.
Okay.
Or like, for instance, if somebody like wants to take a player like him who turns 22 as an international player this year at 55 and he still wants to go to college, like you theoretically might have like a domestic drafting stash in college basketball.
You're getting Sam Presti so excited right now.
Dude, I know. Like
he is getting so pumped about the idea of stashing someone at Gonzaga this year.
There are so many people like thinking about that in college right now or in the NBA. Like it's a real thing. It's very funny. Like it's genuinely a thing that like teams have reached out to the NBA. These players are in theory going to be eligible to be taken is my understanding as of right now. Like, you know, we're 14 days away from the draft at the time of recording this. It's possible that further guidance comes in down the road and you see something that looks slightly different, right? The NBA says like, you know what, like, no, like you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't sign guys off of college program, whatever it is, right? But as of right now, this is the Wild West and it is unclear where exactly all of this will settle, guys.
This is bizarre, very bizarre. So you released a new mock draft on Thursday, which had the Philadelphia 76ers making 2 trades to move down from 3 to 6. Jake Fisher reported this week that the Sixers are meeting with both VJ Edgecombe and Ace Bailey. Which teams below the Sixers do you think would be most motivated to make a trade up move for one of these two guys?
I think Charlotte is the very obvious answer here. Just to move up a spot, right? Like, I'm not saying I would be, look, the Philly could do whatever it wants, right? Like if it really determines that VJ Edgecombe is just like the best player on its board and they want to confirm that they end up with VJ, I totally get that. I will say, VJ Edgecombe makes an immense amount of sense for this Charlotte build right now. Like he's the perfect player to put in between LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller because he's really defensively oriented. And frankly, like they just need a dude who's like wildly competitive and is like kind of a culture setter, kind of a tone setter. Like that dude like came into Baylor and everybody spoke so incredibly highly of the way that he came in and was like a leader from the jump. You know, as a freshman coming in with, you know, Baylor had Jeremy Roach, who was like a 6th-year senior, and Norchad Omier, who's a 5th-year senior who'd been to the Final Four. Like, VJ came in and was like, no, like, we got to do things this way. We got to do things the right way. Like, he's like a real, like, force of, you know, like just a great personality and like really cares about this shit. You know what I mean? So just a really great kid, and maybe he could come in and like blow the doors off the place in Philly. But I think that he makes a ton of sense for Charlotte. And if I'm Philly, I'm trying to accumulate assets because for me personally, like me, you know, on the outside, I have all of VJ, Con, Trey, and Ace, you know, VJ Edgecombe, Con Knipple, Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey, all in the same group, right? So if I could come away from this draft with one of those guys and pick up some additional assets, it makes a ton of sense to me, right? Like if I could get off the Andre Drummond deal, it's a huge win to me. If I could pick up, you know, an additional second rounder, if I could maybe get a first rounder in the future, like Charlotte has that weird Miami pick that they got for the Terry Rozier deal, like, you know, something like that just makes a ton of sense to me for Philly. And for Charlotte, like you get the guy that just absolutely, to me, makes the most sense with your organization and your team build.
I think it was KOC who reported the idea that the Pelicans may be interested in Ace Bailey. What do you just think about them being interested? If that were true, what do you think about them being interested in Ace?
Like, so fit? Like people I've been talking to have been speculating about that a lot. I don't. How do I say this? My read on this is that people are connecting dots on the kind of prospects that Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver tend to like. And Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars tend to like prospects like Ace Bailey in general, toolsy, athletic kind of players that were, Troy Weaver loves guys that were great, on the AAU scene and like high school basketball and stuff like that. If you go back through his draft history, I think anybody that's like reporting with certainty on what that organization likes and doesn't like right now is, I don't want to say they're wrong because, maybe there's a source there that I don't have and that a bunch of other people around the league that, quite literally dozens of NBA people I've talked to don't have. But I think people are more trying to connect the dots with the Pelicans right now than anything. Look, I think I'd be surprised if Ace fell below New Orleans, but like, nobody I've talked to has been able to like determine the exact extent to which they have interest in Ace, right? Okay. Like, are they willing to trade up and get him? Are they willing to, move Herb Jones to get him to get up to number 3 because they have such a high grade on Ace Bailey? Like, do they like, such a player so much, right? That, they're willing to do whatever it takes to move to number 4 in order to get them. That's really what the important question is, in my opinion. Like, if Ace Bailey falls to 7, like, sure, you know what I mean? Yeah, it tracks that they would make that pick, absolutely. But the biggest thing that like I wrote in this mock draft kind of came at the top, right? Like, I think I talked to like, I'll tell you the exact number. I think it was 8 different people that work for NBA teams. And they all like said to me, oh yeah, it's really quiet right now. Like it's actually hard to get information on the draft. And it's weird. Like that doesn't happen 2 weeks out before the draft. Like typically it's not this quiet. And then I wrote that and published it, today at the time that we're recording this. And then like 3 different other people I know for NBA teams reached out and were like, this is so true. Like, you know what I mean? Just being like, yeah, this is what's happening right now. We don't know why it's so quiet. So I don't know, like anything I'm hearing right now, I'm just kind of taking with a grain of salt. Like I truly, like, I don't mean this is like shots at anybody. Cause like maybe they do just have the information that I don't. And that, all of the people I'm talking to in the NBA don't have, but like, a lot of what I'm getting feels like a bit more speculative in nature than what it normally is.
Yeah. There was also the Michael Scotto report earlier today about the Sixers engaging for number 2 with San Antonio.
That totally tracks for me for what it's worth. Like, I mean, just think about, again, though, like this is like speculation to me, but like, if you're Daryl, like I've heard of Daryl Morey, reaching out to some other teams already about stuff, right? Like it totally tracks. Like this is Daryl Morey's MO. He wants to go find a star. And to me at number 3, I like all of those guys. I think all of like Con Knippel, Trey Johnson, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, like they're all going to make like $100 million in their NBA career. They're going to be like really good basketball players. I don't know that any of them are going to be stars, to be honest with you. And if I was Philly, like, I don't know if I'd be evaluating them that way. So given that, knowing what we know about Daryl Morey, it makes total sense. Of course they reached out to San Antonio. Like, why wouldn't you reach out to San Antonio? You know what I mean? So like, it makes total sense, but like, I'm pretty skeptical that San Antonio would move that pick, to be honest. Because especially right now, because think about it, like if, Giannis hasn't come available yet. From all indications, like they we'll have a meeting at some point and we'll see what that looks like. And, maybe he asks out, maybe he wants to stay. We know literally nothing about Giannis right now, it feels like to me. But let's say that Giannis asks out and they decide to look at a trade. Number 2 overall pick this year is like probably the best asset on the board for Giannis. So like, why would you move off that right now? Would be my thing. Maybe you don't want Giannis. Maybe you've decided you want to do like a longer build, right? But if you want to do a longer build, then Dylan Harper makes the most sense to me. So yeah, just kind of trying to like parse through all the tea leaves is interesting. I see, like that's me absolutely not taking a shot at Scotto. Like I think that that's absolutely reportable, and I think that it's interesting that they did that.
Yeah,
it's just trying to figure out what that actually means in reality. I don't know. Like I'm pretty skeptical San Antonio would make a move there.
So getting back to your mock, you have Philly going down to 6, and then they take Concanipple, and he is number 3 on your personal big board in your draft guide. In that draft guide, you write about how you've adjusted your drafting philosophy over the years, elevating players that can shoot, pass, and defend while having positional size. Do you feel like Con is the best example of how your evaluation has changed? Like, would you have ever ranked a player like Con this highly in previous draft cycles?
I mean, look, like I ranked Reed 2 last year, and Con's
That's
like
true.
Big. So, and like it's dribble, pass, shoot and everything. So like my answer to that is probably, I mean, look, it just depends on the year, right? Like I think the number 3 overall pick this year is probably a little bit less valuable than like the normal number 3 overall pick, right? Like if you go back to 2023, like, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, Amen Thompson, like I really like Cam Whitmore that year. Like I had higher grades on those guys than I did on anybody in, likely to be available at number 3. So I think it just depends on the year. In Con's case, like what I love about him is just like his malleability as a player and like versatility. Like, you guys obviously are very connected with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I mean, he's like the pristine, perfect Oklahoma City Thunder player in so many ways. He is a monster shooter. He's 6'5" without shoes. He's an unbelievable processor of the game. He relocates incredibly well. He knows how to move off the ball. He can dribble, pass, and shoot. He can play with the ball in his hands. He can play out of ball screens. He throws lobs at a high level. He reads the court at a super high level, had a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And then defensively, Andy's a 48, 41, 91 shooter as a freshman, which is freaking unheard of. And then, oh, by the way, like people will be like, oh yeah, but he had Cooper there. Go watch the ACC tournament where he won MVP where Cooper was out. You know what I mean? So he's an awesome basketball player. And I think defensively, he's like way underrated. I mean, he was actually like genuinely a good defender this year at Duke. Now, do I think he's going to be more than like a neutral defender in the NBA? Probably not, because there are just real limitations that he brings to the table. He's not super disruptive. And then the foot speed is like a real concern. But he knows exactly where he's supposed to be. He is super, super intelligent. He maps the court incredibly well on defense. He knows where he's supposed to scramble. And if he gets his chest in front of you, you just aren't going through him. Like that's the reality. And on top of it, he's really good at kind of directing his guys, his like on ball, like, at the point of attack, who he's defending. He's really good at directing those guys into help and like knowing exactly where his help is and being able to take those guys there. So yeah, Con is just like the guy that, I totally believe in. But look, I've been really high on Con since the preseason. Like, I think I was the only person that had him in the lottery. Like when you do the way too early, 2025 mock draft, like the day after the draft and everything, just because, unbelievably productive at the AAU level. He's an awesome basketball player. Take bets on guys who know how to play basketball.
Yeah, I love him too. I think he's gonna be great. What level do you think he can be as like a 1, 2, 3, like in an offense? Though is kind of like the question that I have.
Probably a 3. Like I don't think he's going to be like a number 1 or a number 2 option on a great team. If he's on a bad team, like maybe he's number 1 or number 2. But here's the thing: like I like him best on good teams is kind of the thing. I think that's where he is going to thrive, is when he gets to play on good teams. And I think that about VJ Edgecombe too, by the way. Like, that's why those guys are 3 and 4 for me. Like, those guys are going to be awesome on really good basketball teams because they defend. Like, VJ certainly defends. Khan, I think, will be fine on defense. He won't be great on defense. And they just, especially Khan, like Khan thinks the game at such a high level. Like, that's the kind of guy that you want on a winning basketball team to me. Like, he's like this is going to sound terrible. Think about like Sam Merrill being able to step in for Cleveland this year and being as impactful as he was in the playoffs, because he's a pretty good defender, even though he gets, shit for being, smaller and like a white dude and all that stuff, right? Like, Sam Merrill's a pretty good defender, and he's like able to stay out there on the court. Khan's like a way elevated version of that to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Shifting to Jeremiah Fears. He is going 7th to the Pelicans in your mock. You describe him as one of the more polarizing prospects in this draft, with some viewing him as like a top 5 upside bet, while others view him as someone who they consider outside the lottery. You have him at 18 on your big board, an area of the draft that you think is pretty flat. Who are some other prospects that are kind of like him, that have this like wide range of draft outcomes?
So you're asking for players in this class, right? Not like to compare to like past ones. Okay.
Yes, in this class.
For what it's worth, like I don't know if Fears is like all that wide in terms of where he's going to be picked. Like, I think his range of outcomes in terms of what he will be in the NBA is very wide. But like, if you're asking like where he's going to get picked, I would say like probably in the top 10 somewhere. I think Jaeger Demon is probably like the prime example of this. Like, this could go really well for Jaeger, where if he ever learns to shoot, which he just has never done, like at any level, if he would ever shoot it, then he's an awesome basketball player. Like, me ranking him at 25 will look incredibly stupid if he ever shoots the ball in some respect, because his feel for the game is fantastic. He is such a high level processor of the game. He's the best passer in the draft. 6'8", can really, really think it out there. He's just a sharp basketball player. But if he doesn't shoot it, then okay, how does he score? Not all that great of a finisher. Just doesn't get to the rim enough to really be a finisher. Didn't really display much of an in-between game. How does he score the basketball? Good question. And then if he doesn't score the basketball, okay, so what is he then? Because he probably isn't going to be able to force help all that well, which means he won't be able to take advantage of the truly, genuinely, special passing ability that he has. Not like a great defender. He's okay, but he's not a great defender. So what is the role in that case? So Demon's a tricky one, I would say. And look, like, I probably was a little bit lower on Josh Giddey coming out too. So, maybe this is a blind spot for me on some level, but I thought Giddey had a way to score. Like, Giddey could get to the rim way more effectively than Demon did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Giddey is at least a scorer on some level. Like the Demon thing is kind of he's kind of a scary player. You have to have a plan for that guy.
Yeah. Adu Tiero is one that I'm interested in. Like, super athlete, like a serious athlete, really can't shoot. Like, has never really displayed much of a shot to shoot it at this point. Almost all of his threes from a standstill. Teams would leave him open, basically, at Arkansas. Like, you go back and you watch the Illinois game, like, Illinois' entire defensive strategy was to leave him open from 3. Mm-hmm. The thing is, he torched them. Like, he ended up with 27 points, but Illinois won. So, like, the strategy worked, right? So, if he ever would learn to shoot, he'd be a real value because he's an awesome defender. He's a super athlete, can really get up in transition, great cutter, like, just does a lot of things that are really valuable on a basketball court. But, if you can't shoot, it's just really, really hard in the NBA right now. Noah Essengay is probably the last one that I'll bring up here. If this works, it probably looks, I don't think he'll ever be quite as good as like Siakam is, but it might not look stylistically all that different in terms of what the role is. He has to get way stronger. He has to kind of continue to improve the skills, but great at drawing fouls, has like this weird flexibility on his gathers and drives that he's able to utilize. Defensively, it's a real mixed bag. Like there are possessions where he looks great. There are possessions where he just gets like totally blown by in space and gets out leveraged by smaller guards. And you just kind of wonder, what's going on with it. Like you watch him versus like Noah Penda, like gives effort. He plays with bend. Like he's a real, solid defender. Essengay, has higher hips and he's always like kind of standing upright. It feels like to me, he's not quite as impactful on that end. And then he doesn't shoot it well, not really a passer yet. But like athletically and in terms of like the way he produces, yeah, it's in the German league. The German league is not very good, but there are some things he does that are really, really impressive.
So Common Malwatch falls to 9 in your mock to the Toronto Raptors. How does Malwatch as a prospect compare to other recent 7-foot lottery prospects who also had questionable offensive games? So I'm thinking like Donovan Clingan, Derek Lively, James Wiseman. Like how does he compare to those type of guys as prospects?
I think he's better than Wiseman ended up being for sure. The thing that everyone missed with Wiseman was the hands. Like his hands were abysmal. His hands have always been really bad. I think Malawatch's hands also worry me. Not great with contested catches. Like good, like if you're throwing him a lob, right? Like he's really good at catching the lob and being able to finish, or like can adjust in the air if he knows the lob is coming and can like adjust to where the ball is thrown, right? But if it's like a dynamic, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody on the phone about this. If it's like a dynamic, motion where he's trying to defensively rebound and somebody's going up to try and get the ball and like he's getting wedged because he has a higher center of gravity and like he's getting like wedged out of there. I think he kind of struggles to like put all of it together with the hand-eye coordination in the same way. I'm not sure he's great below his waist either, catching the ball at this point. And then also the catching and like the footwork aspect of it, do you sometimes need in the NBA, like being able to pair those things together? That worries me a little bit. In terms of comparing these guys that went in the lottery, I mean, like, I don't know, Clingan was probably a little bit better positionally. Malawatch is probably a little bit better of an athlete. I think I would rather have Clingan for sure. I had Clingan, I think, at 4 last year. Malawatch's offensive game probably has a better chance to be more complete than Clingan's. Neither of them are all that vertical, but Malawatch just has the length that Clingan doesn't necessarily have. Yeah, like, who else did you mention there? You mentioned Wiseman. Lively, I think, was way ahead. Yeah, Lively could really catch the ball and was more versatile in screen coverages than I think he got credit for. Like, people think of Malawatch as like this switch defender sometimes. Mm-hmm. And there are possessions where he like switches and looks pretty good, but there are others where he gets kind of cooked. Like, Lively was like really twitchy athletically in a way that I don't think Malawatch really is. Yeah, like I think Malawatch is like a drop defender. I think that if he gets caught on an island against a guard because like he just gets strung out, right? Like, okay, like he'll be able to like handle himself better than, most bigs out there. But I don't think you're ever going to play him outside of a drop either necessarily.
Okay. Yeah. And he's one of those guys that picked up basketball just recently. And I don't know what to do with those guys sometimes. Like what's like the track record, like at least in your mind, of guys that pick basketball up late and are trying to catch up? Because like a lot of these guys, I mean, you just read through the draft guide and there's so many guys that it's like, oh, their parents played high level basketball. Their parents played college. They're at least played high level high school basketball. And you get this guy and it's like somebody just came up to him and was like, hey, you're tall. You should play basketball. is like kind of how he got into it. And so
that's actually like literally how he got into it. Like he was tall and like someone in his town in Uganda, where he was living at the time was like, yeah, like you should go like check this out.
And then he wrote that he had to like walk 40 minutes to get to a hoop, which, I mean, it's a crazy story. I mean, like a crazy success story for this guy. But we're talking about like being a successful NBA center is like a whole nother thing for him. And I just wonder, like, what do you think the odds are of like guys that have had similar stories before that get to the league and then become like something great? You know what I mean?
I mean, look, like Joel Embiid, was not, super new to basketball when he got there. And, I think you can find other examples of like Sayer Sene or whatever, like, where it didn't work. Right.
I know.
I'd have to do a study on it. I totally get what you're saying. And like a lot of the time I do probably tend to shy away from these guys a little bit just because there's something, if there's anything missing, like I will tend to shy away from them. I think like in Malawach's case, like I do just worry that the hips are a little bit too high and that like, even though he's already 250 pounds, like he feels skinny, even though he's like not, but it's because of the high hips. Like that's why he feels skinny, is like, he does feel like he can just get moved around a little bit too easily. Whereas like, it's funny. So we got Johan Berenjay's measurements today, and a year ago, Johan Berenjay measured at like 6'9" or so without shoes, right? Today he measured 6'11" without shoes with a 7'5" wingspan. So like when I ranked Berenjay at like 18 or 19, wherever I had him, I was kind of going off of, oh yeah, he'll probably be like, 6'9" to 6'10", like somewhere in that range. No, he has like a 9'3" standing reach. Like he is a massive human. I'm not joking, guys. Like I might rank him up. Like I have to figure that out. Like now that we have the real measurement, because we're going to adjust the draft guide as the measurements come in for the athletic or for the European guys. I might rank him above Malawach because he actually has like real footwork and like his hands are amazing. Like he catches everything in his area and he has a bit of a lower center of gravity. Like his feet, like he just moves better than Malawach does. The thing about, and he's even younger in basketball, is the reason I bring him up, because I think he's been playing basketball like 46 months. Like it's like,
it's like
under 4 years.
We're using months like a baby, Yeah,
no, seriously. Like it's like, it's a short amount. It's a short window that he's been playing. So like, he was not expected to even really be able to play much this year for Cedevita when they signed him. And it was just like, oh no, like you can play, like you're good to go. Like you can play real minutes off the bench for us. So, like it's funny, like Malawach is like ahead of him right now for sure, because he just has the positioning stuff down. And like Berenjay looks like a baby deer out there, like still learning a lot of the time, but you can just see the tools, man. Like, the way he recovers around the court, like there are times he'll just like fly off the screen and like fly into it and just be like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Like what happened here? How did he get here? Right? Like, yeah. I mean, look, like everyone's going to think differently about Berenjay. It's going to be what your willingness to deal with a project is at the end of the day, like your stomach for having to really teach a guy like this. But like everything on Intel wise in France is like unbelievable kid, like, real worker, like really wants it now. Like he's a real, like awesome human. So yeah, that's one that's kind of to the other side of your question a little bit, where to me, it's mostly about like, what are your physical tools? And do you have something you're missing and lacking? If you do, I'm like a little bit more worried. If you don't, then okay, like we might have a stew going. Like we might be able to like really, really kind of teach this kid like how to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Say his first name again.
Johan.
Okay.
We actually had a question about Berenjay a little bit later, but we might as well ask it now because you had him at 13 in your mock draft to the Hawks. which I believe is the highest he's appeared in any of your mocks so far. And we were going to ask, is this more about a specific fit with Atlanta, who are at 13, or has his stock just been rising league wide?
So like I've heard the name with Atlanta, but look, I mean, again, Atlanta's looking at a bevy of options. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're locked in on J or anything, right?
Yeah.
I've heard him, like, I think people be surprised. Like, I've heard him earlier than that really? In some places too. So like, I'd be pretty stunned if he got past like 17, 18, to be honest with you. Like that would really surprise me at this point.
Was your mock where you placed him before you saw the measurements?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the mock came out at 6 a.m. We got measurements today at when did his agent text me? It was at, I can give you the exact date. It was at like 3 o'clock Pacific time. So,
have you talked to any teams like since the measurements? Like, have any of them like fundamentally changed their opinion on this player?
I have. I've been on the phone like with people all day. Like, I haven't even like gotten a chance to go like, oh shit, like, did you see this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like today was like an agent catch up day for me more than the team side, because the last few days have been team side for the mock stuff.
Colin Murray Boyles goes to the Rockets at 10 in your mock. In the draft guide, you mentioned how he is a polarizing prospect and how if you were an NBA team, your evaluation of CMB could change dramatically depending on how you thought the coaching staff would use him. When you look across the league, are there any teams, forget where they are in the draft, that you think would be particularly good for him?
The Oklahoma City Thunder. Have you heard of them, boys?
Interesting.
I've heard.
Have you heard of this group? Yeah, I mean, look, like, can you imagine adding another like Swiss Army knife multi-positional defender to this group? Like, Mark would know exactly what to do with them. Like, he'd
be nice to have a guy that's like 6'7", 6'8" as well to play that position.
Yeah, like, can you imagine him with like Chet defensively? Like,
Yes. Yes, I can.
I don't think he gets to 15 for what it's worth, but like, that's one team where it really, I mean, God, like, I would love it if he goes to 15. That'd be amazing. Like, please let it happen just for my own enjoyment. I think Houston, like, I think Ime would really know how to use him, to be honest with you. Like, they have a number of these guys already, but I just think he'd understand, like, okay, how do we get the most out of like a defensively versatile guy? Trying to think like who else. I mean, San Antonio, I've gone back and forth on, just because like my whole thing with San Antonio is like, with Victor, the whole experience is based on making centers guard him, right? And like making defense, like stressing defenses that way, right? Well, if you have Murray Boyles out there, the center is just going to be able to guard him. You know what I mean? Like, he can't shoot yet, so maybe he shoots at some point. I think Spo would really know how to use him. Like, I think that would be amazing. I mean, Chicago like needs him, and I think that Billy Donovan's a good coach at the very least. Like, I think he'd figure it out. I'm trying to think of like an organization, like the teams that like don't really need him, right? Are like, like I think Washington would use him well. Like, I think that just him next to Sarr would be really good. But the teams that don't need him are the teams like Utah, right? Like, they need to go find other stuff. You know what I mean? Will Hardy would figure it out, but like, they have Walker Kessler. Like, they would need to figure out so many different things in order to make him work. Trying to think through like other teams, like Orlando is like the last team that like, I think like Jamal Mosley like might really enjoy having like a multi-positional defender, but like, for the love of God, like, don't you put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. Like, to say like, it's funny, like I put Yegor Demin there, and like, I agree with all their fans. Their fans are like, if they do this, like, I'm like stopping being a Magic fan. I'm just like, honestly, I don't blame you, but like, just look through your GM's history. Like, he just loves these big, skilled decision makers who, are, very have a massive positional size, and your guys like Franz Wagner like kind of fits this billing, right? Franz was way ahead of where Yegor is, but you can just look back through his track record from Anthony Black to like Jet Howard, like kind of fits this bill as like a bigger dude. Like you can just go through and it's just like, okay, all these guys are positional size, skill in some way, shape, or form, processing, like all that stuff, and doesn't really care all that much about the athleticism. He'll just take them. So that tends to be more my thing on like mocks and stuff, is especially like up until the week of the draft, is just like these GMs like have a type.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like GMs, you can do like a little scout. Like I have a document where like I have a little scout for like the guys, like the types of players that like GMs really like. Like you can definitely get a vibe.
You mocked Carter Bryant to the Blazers at 11, and evaluators seem confident in his 3-and-D ability. But what about the rest of his game, Sam? Going back to the idea of dribble, pass, shoot players, how confident are you in Bryant's ability to dribble and pass? See, that's why I don't understand, because I know Andrew's really into him, and I know a lot of people are really into him, but when I hear the 3-and-D thing, I almost hear it as a negative, because when people describe the rest of his game, it's like, well, what else can he do offensively?
Also, so like, here's the thing, like he's not incapable of dribbling. Like he can take like a couple dribbles and be okay.
Okay.
Like when he was in high school, like he was like a mid-range guy. Like he would like go create shots in the mid-range, right? And like take pull-ups and stuff like that. Like he's not incapable of that. The passing vision, like I've never really seen that with him, unfortunately. But he's here's the thing, like all the intel came back like super clean, like really, really positive character. Like if I remember correctly, I think his mom is like a child of deaf adults. So like, he does all of these, like he does like events in Southern California where like he's like trying to raise awareness for like the deaf community and things like that. He's just like a really, really good, like well-adjusted human being. Or like a good kid, I should say. Like, I don't know how adjusted he is. I shouldn't say that. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I just don't know that part of it, but just like a good kid from what I've been told. In terms of the defense, I think he's an awesome defender, like multi-positional 1 through 4, really, really high level in terms of like can switch out onto guards, knows his rotations, constantly engaged, constantly aware, just like an awesome basketball player, really, really good on the defensive end. And then the shooting seems real too. The name I've been using for him is Marvin Williams. Like I know that's not sexy. Like I don't think Marvin Williams ever averaged like more than 12 points a game, but he started 800 games in his career.
Yeah.
Like, guy also like, it's funny that it lines up too, where Carter Bryant, like also didn't really start for Arizona this year. Marvin Williams didn't start for that North Carolina team back in the day. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of what he feels like to me. Like he feels like a guy that's going to be super valuable, like for the right team where he can be like the 5th best offensive player and like be like a real like top 2 defender on a team.
Yeah. Just don't take him 2nd overall.
Does that help at all, Alex?
Yeah, it helps a little bit. It kind of sounds like is it like a Tumani Kamara vibe? Like just in terms of his like role on the team?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that.
Okay.
Well, now you got to be really excited, Al.
Yeah, I do like Tumani a lot. Yeah.
Come on. You're a Tumani guy.
Tumani guy.
So knowing how the league values big, long wings who can shoot, why wouldn't Cedric Coward go higher than 14? And where you currently have him, going to the Spurs in your mock? And what are the major concerns with him?
So, like a couple of notes here. So Cedric Coward played 6 games this year. I think if Cedric Coward had played more than 6 games, we'd be talking about him like as a clear lottery guy. But I also say that as somebody like I had Cedric Coward. I think I was the only person that had him in the top 35 coming into the year. Like I really think Cedric Coward is super interesting. So where I realized that like he was a real dude was when I saw him in person in LA, like in April, I guess that was. And the question with him on tape has always been, how athletic is he? Is he able to like actually be like a real defender in terms of switchability? Is he more of like a big because he's not super athletic? Is he more like a true wing? I think that he is like a real true wing. He has definitely added explosiveness. The other thing is that like, yeah, he's like 21, 22, might turn 22 later this year. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you like see him in person, he just like looks kind of young in like terms of his frame. Like he just looks like one of those dudes where like the shoulders are really broad and like he looks like a dude that's going to fill out in a real way in terms of like adding strength. And I'll tell you, like when I saw him in LA, like he was more explosive than when I'd seen him, on tape previously. And, I asked some people that saw him in Chicago that went to the Big Sky tournament last year, not in 2025, but 2024. And they all said like he was way more explosive than what they, remembered him being. So throw in the fact that he's like almost 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan and, can really shoot the ball. Like that's the other thing. The easiest way for me to explain it was when you look at him play on the court, everything just looks right in terms of like how he moves athletically, like the kinetic chain of his body, like and how it all, works synchronously with its like with all of the parts, right? Like all of the parts move when they're supposed to move. All of the parts like look like they're in line, right? He's a really interesting player, man. And he's like another like awesome kid. I think he was like, he might've been like his student body, like president or something like that. Like, like awesome.
He won an award for Habitat for Humanity. He's involved with that. Yeah. I totally get what you're saying though, about like his movements. Cause like watching highlights of him, some of these like pull up mid-range shots, he just looks so smooth.
Yep.
It's
and like,
very impressive looking.
Yeah. And like I think he's going to get stronger too. And like the way that he plays like off of 2 feet constantly, like he's always on balance. And if you watch him, like he's constantly trying to put his shoulder into guys and get to his step back. Right. Like when he gets stronger and when he gets more physical, like I think that he has a chance to like move guys at some point. Like he might get up to like 225, 230, I think even. I think he's at 212 right now. Let me look at that. 213. Like I think he's going to add real weight without losing much athletically. And he's going to be able to, I think he has a chance to like move guys because he's another guy that has super long arms. This is the piece of it that I understand when people will bring up Jalen Williams with him. I think J-Dub was a much, looking back on it, like if you watch J-Dub at Santa Clara versus Coward, it is very different. Like J-Dub was much more capable on the ball than what Coward is. But he does have the same like low center of gravity despite having like a 7'2" wingspan that J-Dub does, right? Like that's J-Dub's superpower is that he's just able to move guys because he out leverages them. And then he has the super long arms to shoot over the top of them when he gets to his step back or to like be able to extend and finish at the rim is particularly his greatness, right? Like, so, that like ability to have that strength and then also have the lower center of gravity mixed with the length. It's what makes you like a great defender. It's what makes you a real potential high level efficient scorer, right? So yeah, I mean, look, it's a gamble. He played 6 games this year. You go back through his like track record when he was at Eastern Washington and they played good teams. It's mixed for sure, but yeah, I have no problem betting on that kid. And again, like I've met him, like he's awesome kid, like totally someone you can buy into.
So you have OKC taking Thomas Sorber at 15. And in the description, you mentioned the idea of trying to find a young long-term replacement for Hartenstein as OKC's cap sheet starts to get more crowded. What aspects of Hartenstein's game do you think Sorber could best be able to replicate? And are there any other options in this draft who you think could be good candidates for that role as well?
Yeah, the passing and the screening for me with Sorber. He has a lot of that stuff. In terms of being able to like see the court from the top end. He processes it super well. Thinks the game at an extremely high level. He's just extremely thundery. If he could shoot it, it would be like a no brainer to me. But yeah, just the way he thinks it is so thundery. Smaller, like 6'9", but has a 7'2" or 7'6". I'm sorry, 7'6" wingspan. I believe the standing reach was like right around like 9'3", if I remember correctly. So big enough, like we'll be able to make it work. Physical, strong. Just very thundery in a lot of ways.
Is there anybody else in that range that, I mean, just because we have you, is there anybody else in that range that you like for OKC?
I'm glad we've turned this into a down to dunk episode.
Listen,
should we just talk about game 3? Can we get that?
I don't want to do that. Shut up. I don't want to do that. Don't. All right. We can move on if you want to.
Guys that I like, that are thundery. I think Danny Wolf is thundery, just like dribble, pass, shoot process for sure. I think he moves better than what he gets credit for defensively. Like he was a capable collegiate switch defender. I don't know how capable he'll be in the NBA, but like, we'll see what that looks like. But dribble, pass, shoot bigs are, they are what they are for the Thunder, right? I would say that, one name that's like kind of off the radar that I really think fits the Thunder, and people are going to laugh at this, I think, because they just kind of have the wrong impression of the player. I think Liam McNeely really fits the Thunder.
I knew you were about to say Liam McNeely. I knew that.
He really fits. Like, he is big. He is hyper competitive. Like he is a real, locked in at all moments, extreme professional as a teenager, fits all of that stuff. I know he shot 32% this year. He was dealing with an ankle injury and had to take so many pull-up opportunities. Like, Connecticut just didn't have any guards. You know what I mean? Like, they had no chance to get him the ball off of the actions that they wanted to run that made like Cam Spencer a draft pick and made Jordan Hawkins a draft pick, right? I think that McNeely is somebody that, when people look at the box score numbers, they wouldn't think is a Thunder guy, but he's like definitely a Thunder guy, I think. Whether I don't know if they'll take him at 15. I think if he was there at 24, I think they would take him. Like, I don't know. Like, that's not me speaking from having knowledge, but like, if he was there at 24, it would surprise me if the Thunder didn't take him, I think.
Yeah. And he thinks the game at a high level. Like, he could play for Mark.
Yeah. That's it. Like, thinks the game, super competitive. Just, it's an easy fit, I think. Trying to think if there's anybody else. I mean, like, I'm sure there is. I mean, like Cedric Howard, Carter Bryant, Colin Murray Boyles, obviously, like all those guys fit. Mm-hmm. That's probably your group, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. You released your draft guide this week, and for each prospect, you have a short bio section where you give readers some background information. What was your favorite tidbit that you found out about a player?
See, like, this is like one of those things where I just like, it's all blended in my head.
Oh, can I tell you mine then?
Yeah, please.
I'll give you some time to think. Mine is, first of all, Con Knippel's dad, also named Con. So he's Con the
this
second.
Is the answer, actually. Yeah.
And Con has 4 younger brothers named Kager, Kinston, Cash, and Kid.
Yes.
Why was this the first time I'd heard about this?
Yeah. Kager's like good too. Kager's going to be like a real high level recruit.
Kager.
Yeah. I think Kinston, if I remember correctly, is also going to be like quite good. Look, like the whole family, it's like the dad is Con, like the mom is, I think Shari is her name. Or Sherry, my God, I'm like looking at it now. His uncle played in the NBA. His mom's like the all-time leading scorer at either Milwaukee or Green Bay, whatever it is, whichever one of those schools that they went to in Wisconsin. It's just like a hoops family. There's never been anything other than like hoops in that kid's life. He's a dude. I'm a Con Knippel guy. Trying to think of anything like fun. I don't know. A lot of this, put it this way. There are things that I don't put in the draft guide and thus will not answer. Like things that I just know that like I can't share.
we need an uncensored draft guide.
Come on. Yeah. We'll put, you could pay a little extra for the uncensored version.
That's it. We'll do the uncensored. That'll be like, when I'm 45 and I decide like to go independent in whatever the AI mind content creation spaces that we live in by then.
All right, Sam, those are all of our draft questions exactly at an hour. Shout out to us. Is now time to play Andrew versus the Beat. Sam, you've played this thousands of times. Now, I was going to do NBA draft questions, but this...
And I've won one of the times.
That's right. You did win one of the times. But this might be the last week I had a chance to do NBA Finals trivia if it keeps going the way it's going. So instead of NBA draft, these are going to be all questions about the NBA Finals in some way.
This is going to be a bloodbath.
We'll see. We'll see. So 8 questions. Sam, you'll give me a number between 1 and 8, correspond to a question. If you get it right, you'll get at least 2 points. If you get it wrong, Andrew will have a chance to steal for 1, and we'll go back and forth till all the questions have been asked and answered. So start us off, Sam, with a number between 1 and 8.
A 7.
Question number 7. There's been a lot of talk about how different these Pacers look compared to your traditional championship teams, with Pascal Siakam being the team's leading scorer at only 20.2 points per game in the regular season. Since 2000, there have been 3 NBA champions who did not have a 20-point per game scorer on their roster. How many can you name? You get 1 point per correct answer.
Yeah, I would guess 04 Pistons is my first answer.
That is correct.
I mean, won't be the Lakers teams in the 2000s. This, what year? I have to get the year, don't I?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like if I say like the players that were on the team with the team.
No, it's not going to work. No, not going to be good enough.
Because I have one. I just have to get the team name? Year.
You know the team name and the full roster, but you just don't have the...
Is it the 08? Is it the 08 Celtics?
Yes, Sam.
There we go. I wasn't sure if it was 07 or 08.
Nice. Can you get the final one?
Okay.
Clean sweep. This would be a great start.
Six Mavs. I can't remember the year.
Well, the Mavs didn't win in 06.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't remember when they won with Dirk and Asia and Sean Marion.
Mavs.
11. Oh, so the 06 Mavs, I think, might be the team that lost in the... Is that the We Believe Warriors? Jesus, that might be a real bad guess. 11 Mavs was my guess anyway. And I think that's probably wrong as it is.
And that is incorrect. Andrew, what was your guess?
Is it the 14 Spurs?
It's the 14 Spurs.
That's right.
14 Spurs. You guys got all of them, though. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
We did okay.
Board is yours.
Number 1.
In the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, the Oklahoma City Thunder averaged almost 24 points off of turnovers per game. Through 3 games of the finals, how many points off turnovers are the Thunder averaging per game? Now, Andrew, you get to choose who answers first. Make Sam answer first, and then you go higher or lower. Or you can answer first, and Sam will go higher or lower. However, whoever guesses, if they get it exactly correct, they would get a bonus point. So this is through 3 finals games, average points off turnovers for the Thunder against the Pacers. As a point of reference, they had almost 24 per game in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, that's an unhelpful point of reference. 9.
All right, Andrew's going 9. Sam, would you like to go higher or lower?
I will say over there.
That is correct. It was 13.
Okay.
You know what the scary thing is? If you would have made me put a number on, I would have said 13.
Oh, I'm glad I said it then.
Lucky dog.
I'm locked in, Andrew. Let's go.
Okay, Sam, you're now up 3-1, and you have control of the board.
This is going to end poorly. I'm totally aware of it, just to be clear. Okay, number 4.
Number 4. Which active player has the most career points in the NBA Finals while never making an All-Star game?
I think I have an answer.
This is a disgusting question, Alex.
No, it's not. It's a beautiful question.
No, it really is. Like, it's quite good.
So probably the average of the most points while never making an all-star team?
Just total career points in NBA Finals games while never making an all-star game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Total.
I mean, is it Jamal Murray?
Jamal Murray. That is incorrect. Andrew.
Like, I was just trying to think, like, okay, crazy high scorer.
Yeah.
That, the problem is that series didn't go long enough, I don't think. Like, he probably scored, 160 points in that series or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say Danny Green.
I'm missing an obvious one.
I was going to say Danny Green.
Is he active?
It's active. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that part. I don't have an answer yet. Then.
Andrew. Do you know his nickname was Icy Hot?
Icy Hot. No. Oh man, active player.
Another guy
that never made an all-star team.
Andrew, any names?
It's not like Derek White or something. I don't know who it is.
Derek White. No, that's wrong. Correct answer. Any last guesses? Throw it out. It is Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Thompson. Makes sense. Played in 3 playoff games this year. He is still active.
Wow.
He's definitely active.
Yeah, not only that, he ranks 13th among all active players. And everyone above him is, like Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I believe
Jamal Murray is 32. He had 107 points in that finals.
Again, that series just did not go long.
Yeah, I think second is Jay Crowder.
Number 2.
Question number 2. There are 8 NBA teams that no longer exist that won a championship once upon a time, and we're going to name them all. So how this works, Andrew will give me a name, then Sam will give me a name. We'll go back and forth.
Wow.
So here's the deal. Some of these teams...
So wait, say this again.
So these are NBA teams that no longer exist. There may be a team in that city now, but the combination of city and team name does not exist anymore, if that makes sense. So 8 NBA teams that no longer exist that have won a championship once upon a time. Andrew, what's your first guess?
Seattle Supersonics.
There it is.
Am I up?
Yeah.
Minneapolis Lakers?
Correct. Back to Andrew.
Baltimore Bullets.
The Baltimore Bullets. Yes.
Okay.
Back to Sam.
I know that's a team. Did they win the title? I don't have any clue if they actually did.
The Washington Bullets?
Yes, the Washington Bullets as well. Andrew. Man, they really should have changed the name. I mean, I get it, Bullets, but that's a long history of champions. All those Bullets titles?
What about the Philadelphia Warriors?
Yes, the Philadelphia Warriors. That's correct. You guys are doing great. Okay, Sam, there are 3 names left. These teams do not exist.
Oh, man. You're going to make me name. If I get the city and it does not exist in the NBA anymore, Cincinnati.
You have to tell me the name of the team.
Oh my God. This is terrible.
Cincinnati.
Oh, I don't think I know it.
What would you call a basketball team in Cincinnati? You can just take a guess.
Oh, I'm like trying to think back. Is it like the Cincinnati Warriors?
No, it's not. Andrew, you have any more guesses? You got the points.
I'm all out.
So actually, it wasn't even Cincinnati. I don't know why I led you down that path.
It's very funny that you did that, though.
You're like, can't believe you didn't know it.
Am I thinking of like Oscar Robertson? Played
the
for
Cincinnati Royals And
Yeah.
it's the Rochester Royals is who won the championship.
Chester
The
Royals.
Syracuse Nationals, would you have gotten that? And the St. Louis Hawks.
Oh, I vaguely
Hawks.
remember that.
For what it's worth, my next guess was going to be the New Orleans Jazz, just because that was the only full name I could think of at the time. But yeah.
Okay, we have a tie game. 4 questions remaining. 3-3. Sam, you have control of the board.
Number 8.
Question number 8. We are in the age of parity. Regardless of who wins the finals, we will have our 7th consecutive unique champion. There are 3 players who have won multiple titles over the last 7 seasons. Who are they? And you get 1 point per correct answer. So really, we're just talking about the last 6 titles. There have been 3 players who have won multiple titles over that 6-year span.
Kentavious Caldwell Pope is one.
Yes. For 1 point.
Okay. Is Matthew Dellavedova one of them?
No.
Okay.
That's an interesting answer, though. Who else did he play for?
I was thinking Cavs, and was he on the Bucks team
Oh.
that won?
I only went back to 2019 because of the last 6 years. So that Cavs title was in 16.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Andrew.
Was he on the Bucks team even? I was thinking the Cavs counted, but I don't even know if he was on the Bucks team.
He was on the 19 Bucks.
Yeah. I was thinking Bucks and Cavs. That's not bad. I feel okay. I got a guy that had won 2 titles for different teams. I feel okay about that answer.
Well, I mean, he didn't. Because
He's not in that range.
Well, no, because the 19 Bucks didn't win. It was the 22 Bucks.
I was thinking he was on the 22 Bucks. Was he not on the 22 Bucks?
No, in 22 he did not play. He was in another pro league, and then he briefly came back to the Kings
at that point. Yeah,
and now he's lost forever.
Hey, he was here in Melbourne this year, Melbourne United.
Was he really?
Shout out Delhi. Yeah,
Nice.
Shout out. Andrew, do you know the other 2 names?
I know Drew Holiday.
Oh, I'm an idiot. That's an easy one.
The other one.
Third guy. And while we're waiting, no matter who wins this year, we'll add a couple more names to this. It'll either be Alex.
Yes, we will.
Or it'll be Siakam and Thomas Bryant.
Thomas Bryant. Oh, he was on Denver, wasn't he?
No limit TB, baby.
Man.
I don't know that I know the other one.
Okay. I'm going to reveal the answer right now, Andrew.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know it.
Well, you should have known it because it was a guy you talked about earlier. Icy hot himself, Danny Green, was on the Raptors and the Bubble Lakers.
Yeah. I felt like the Bubble Lakers had another one. The 2 I was spending a lot of my time on there was trying to remember who it was on that team. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
That's going to sting for a long time.
Guys, for this. Okay, Andrew, tie game. 3 questions left, 4-4.
Dion was on the Bubble Lakers team. Number 3.
There are 7 players who have taken at least 10 shots in an NBA Finals game and missed all of them. Can you name one?
What?
Yeah, I don't know why I came up with this question because I actually came up with a lot of these questions last week, and I was looking at it today. I was like, why did I even think to? It's not like that happened in game 1 or 2, so I don't know why I was thinking about this. But a guy going at least 0 for 10 in an NBA Finals game. There's 7, and I will give a
all
hint.
Time.
I will give a hint because this is super hard. One of them happened in the last 3 years.
In the last 3 years.
Yeah.
A champion.
Just a guy in a finals game. Not
in the finals.
In the finals, yeah.
So now I got to think about a lot of different teams.
By the last 3 years, are you including the Bucks title, or are you just including Nuggets, Celtics this year.
Celtics,
No.
Nuggets, Warriors.
Celtics, Nuggets, and Warriors.
But yeah, the Bucks won. The Warriors won after the Bucks. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's $21.
I don't know how to even approach this.
Okay.
Cody Zeller.
Zeller,
Great answer.
the big handsome. No, it's not Cody Zeller. Sam, do you have any guesses? I feel like I could keep giving you guys hints and you will just never. Okay, I'll give you another hint that I don't think is going to help you at all. I think they're 3 Hall of Famers. Does that do anything for you?
Sure. Let's go with Jerry West.
Jerry West, definitely a Hall of Famer. Actually, 4 Hall of Famers. Wow. No, that's wrong. The name within the last 3 years was Max Strus. Max Strus.
Oh, really?
For what it's worth, before you said the Hall of Famers thing, I was going to say J.R. Smith. It just felt like a JR thing to do.
That does sound like a JR thing to do. Dennis Johnson, Chick Reiser, Ray Allen. Ray Allen did it. Isn't that great?
Ray Allen.
Guy Rogers.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Andrew? You didn't get Chick?
Yeah, you didn't get Chick.
Forgot
Andrew?
about Chick.
You didn't get Dick Schultz and Harry Gallatin. The majority of these guys are
fucking
Hall of
Dick,
Famers.
dude. Come on.
Chick and Dick and Gallatin.
Harry Gallatin, nicknamed the Horse and Farmer.
Wow.
Horse and Farmer.
Unacceptable. We are fired, Andrew.
Okay, 2 questions left. Sam, you have
That's an
control of the board.
impossible question.
No, it's not.
Number 6.
Harry Gallatin.
Mark Daignault played rookie AJ Mitchell in game 1 of the finals because he was feeling himself. There are only 3.
Yes, he did.
There are only 3 active players who played more than 50 minutes in the NBA finals during their rookie season. How many can you name? 1 point per correct answer.
Is Tyler Hero one of them?
Tyler Hero is one of them for 1 point.
Okay. I think he was in his second year.
Okay.
And I'm going to be annoyed. Is Caruso one of them?
No.
Yeah, I think he was in his second year with the Lakers.
Yeah, he was in his 3rd season. His rookie season was 18. Andrew,
he played not many minutes before that. Oh, okay.
Andrew.
Derek Lively.
Derek Lively is one.
That's a great answer.
Can you get the other name?
Yeah, that's gross.
And what's the qualifier again?
Just 50 minutes in the NBA Finals as a rookie, active player.
Okay. There's a couple guys I don't know if they played
Okay.
this many minutes.
For some reason, I was only going through champions in my head after Hero. I don't know why my ADHD-addled brain decided to focus on that, but it did.
Any other guesses, Andrew?
Kuminga?
Jonathan Kuminga, no. I think Moses Moody actually played more minutes in that finals. It's Christian Brown, of course.
Oh, Dang, Christian Brown.
Now, this is great because not only do we have a tie game going into the final question, but also I feel like the final question is impossible and neither of you are going to get it, which means I need to start coming up with a backup question. But maybe you'll get it. Okay, so here we go. Andrew, are you ready? You get first dibs on it. Question is, who was the first NBA franchise to put T-shirts in every seat for a playoff game? Now, before you answer, I got this information from a 2011 article in Time, and this is a quote from Chris Granger, who is the NBA Executive VP of Team Marketing and Business Operations. So I have to trust him that he is giving me the correct information. So it is the first NBA franchise to put T-shirts in every seat for a playoff game.
This goes to me first.
That's right.
Miami.
1 in 30 shot.
Miami.
No.
All right.
That is the obvious answer. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Sam,
We'll go with
I'm glad at least checks out with somebody.
I was gonna say we'll go with the team that Chick played for of Chick and Dick fame. No, let's go with the We Believe Warriors.
the We Believe Warriors. Also incorrect. Would you believe you have to go all the way back to the early 2000s. It was the Sacramento Kings.
Sure.
Pioneers in the field. Okay, so I was right. You all did not get that. So you are tied, which means we're going into overtime.
Overtime.
This might be the longest edition of Andrew versus the Beat ever. We just crossed the 30-minute mark.
We did.
You guys
It's
excited?
a battle of ineptitude here.
Okay, so you remember the question I had about like most points in the finals among active players? It was Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we're going to do a version of that question, but among active players, most three-pointers made in the NBA finals. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll let
Never
Sam
an
go
all-star or just point blank?
just point blank. So this should be
Okay.
easy. You know, I mean, you'll know a lot of the names. Okay. So we will start with Sam.
Stephen Curry.
Great guess. 152, number one. Andrew.
This is just the finals.
Just finals games.
LeBron James.
LeBron James, number 3 on the list. Back to Sam.
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson, number 2 on the list. Back to Andrew.
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, number 4. Andrew. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Look at us,
Okay.
Andrew.
This is a confidence booster question. Okay, see.
Kyrie.
Kyrie, number 5. Wow. Andrew, back to you. 5 names remain.
Kawhi.
Kawhi, number 7. So we did skip number 6. Number 7. So 4 names remaining. Back to Sam.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love, number 8. Number 8. So we have 6, 9, and 10 left. Back to Andrew.
Tatum.
Tatum, number 9.
That's
2
a good
names
answer.
remain. Number 6 and number 10. It all comes down to this.
That's a really good answer.
Sam, can you get one of the final names?
Draymond Green.
He is number 6, which sets up for actually not even the win. You guys would just tie again. But Andrew, number 10.
That
among
was
active players.
That was my answer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you got to think of one more name to push this to a double overtime. First time in Andrew versus the Beat history if we go to a double OT.
Okay. What about Derek White?
So I did kind of give a hint at the very beginning. I said active player is just someone who played at least an NBA game this season. Derek White is number 11, which means that Sam wins the week. Number 10 is a guy who played 9 games this season.
Okay.
Sacramento Kings.
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder.
Who I mentioned earlier. For points.
Yeah, I mean, my whole strategy there was literally just running through those Warriors Cavs series.
Oh.
If you didn't notice.
Sam, what a win. 6-5. Wow, that was a big one.
Man.
Yeah. That was a good one.
That's painful.
That's probably the deepest we've ever gone into the bag there. That was pretty good.
Andrew, would you compare the pain of that loss? Do you think it was more like a game 1 loss or more like a game 3 loss?
I would say it's a game. That's a game 3 loss. Like I could see it coming for a little while. You know,
You just got outplayed. Hey, the better team won. Is how you feeling? Yeah.
Just got outplayed. Yeah. Whenever you lose by, I think it was like 18 in the last 42 minutes of the game, like OKC did. That was something.
I think I was outcoached by Sam's brain at the end of this one. Is what happened. Please go read the draft guide. It is one of the most impressive things that I look at and read every year. So please go read the draft guide at The Athletic. Subscribe to The Athletic so you can get the draft guide today. Anything else? Obviously, Game Theory podcast. I was texting with Bryce earlier today.
Best.
Just a wonderful guy. Just a really good friend and a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
So shout out to Bryce and everything you guys do at Game Theory. Anything else that you want to share before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sorry that my brain is so irrevocably broken by basketball at this point. That's just where we're at, unfortunately.
I wanted to point out Game Theory, not just doing like post-game final stuff, draft stuff, also doing the off-season previews for every single team.
Yeah, we're having fun.
And those are great. I've been listening to them.
Yeah, me too. They're a nice palate cleanser.
We've got like 10 of them left. I probably get, only 30% of the CBA minutia right. But, we're closing in. We might get to 50 by the end. You know what I mean? No, we appreciate everybody that comes in and listens to those. Thank you all for listening. If you do, closing in on like 50,000 subscribers there. So we're super appreciative of everyone who's, come and hung out with Bryce and I for the finals and for the off-season preview stuff. And, really excited to kind of continue on with this draft cycle and continue on. Hopefully you guys might be done with the draft guide by the time the draft comes around. We'll see though. That might be a big ask.
No, everybody should dive in today. You've got time. You've got time. Dive into it. Sam, thank you so much for coming on. We will be back next week. Who knows? Maybe the NBA Finals. I guess the NBA Finals will be over by next week, Al. So we'll probably have more draft topics, maybe from free agency stuff, maybe a Kevin Durant trade to talk about. Who knows? I hope you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the basketball. We'll talk to you guys again next Saturday.